Guys, all the cars that you see in these videos are for sale on my website, www.woodsandbarclay.com. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, welcome back to the series on the 1985 Diamond Blue wagon. And today this is going to be the last maintenance or repair video before we go to the alignment shop and do the test drive, and then it goes over to Scott for detailing. Now, there's a few things I want to do in this video. One, we want to inspect and replace the mono valve if needed. That's the valve that controls your coolant flow when your heat or AC are turned on, and I'll show you how that works. And next, we want to inspect the fuel system. Now, this car has fresh fuel filters on it, so it's not the fuel system up in the engine, but it's back on the tank. We want to inspect the fuel level sending unit. That's what keeps your gauge, your empty or full fuel gauge in the correct location. We also want to inspect the in-tank strainer. So we're going to remove that, take a look at it, see if it needs to be replaced. A couple other things we're going to do are related to the aesthetics of the vehicle. Very common, the vanity mirrors on the visors, those often have cracks. So we're going to remove those and replace the vanity mirror. It's not the mirror itself, it's actually the surround, the plastic bezel around the mirror. So we're going to knock out a few items in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to inspect today, and we want to do this on a cold engine because we're going to open the mono valve assembly, and there's coolant in there. And if it's a hot engine, you're going to, coolant's going to come out and get all over the place. So right here, this is our mono valve insert. And we see there's a 12-volt power right here. We'll just go ahead and unplug that. And then we see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 little Phillips screws right there. And we can remove this mono valve insert and inspect it. That's about the best view I can get you guys. But back here, we need to get our flathead. I'm sorry if I said Phillips earlier. It's flathead screwdriver. And we're going to remove these 4 little screws right here. Now, if you drop them, they're very small. Hopefully they'll go down into the ground, but if you drop one and it disappears forever, they're just standard little sheet metal screws, and you can replace those if you need to. So we got to get those 4 out, and then I'll remove the valve. Now, to get access to the 2 screws on the back side, it helps to actually remove the little gasket right here. This is your, I guess, the hood gasket. See if I can just peel that gasket back right there. And then it makes it easier to get access to these screws in the back. So let's go ahead and get these back ones out. There we go. Okay, we have the screws out. See if I can record removing this. You can just grab it by the cylinder on the top right here. And this mono valve, let's jiggle it out of here. There we go. We can remove it from the car. There we go. Now that leads right into that hole, goes down into the coolant. And let me show you what happens down in there. Okay, here's the little mono valve insert that we installed. And what we're going to do is just slide it right out of this assembly. There we go. So this assembly right here, it's just, it's wound copper. It's electromagnetic. So when you apply 12 volts, this gets a charge. And inside, here's our mono valve insert. There's a magnet in here. When that charge happens, it shoots out. Well, see, we need to replace this one. But there we go. It goes in or comes out. But we can see that this one hasn't been changed in probably decades, and we can see the boot has become detached. So let me go ahead and get a good replacement mono valve. Okay, let me see if I can demonstrate how this works. So here's our old mono valve. You see the boots come detached. This one is not good. We're going to set that aside. Here is our replacement mono valve. Now, okay. Let me show you how this works. So when you apply power to it, this is a genuine Bosch too, guys. That's about $350. And you can still get these on, new old stock on eBay. But when you apply the power, this valve pulls forward. See? Now, let me show you what that does. So here's just a housing that I've got over on my bench. The mono valve actually goes down in there, right? Now, down in there, see that little hole? Well, that hole is the same size as this plunger, and this sits down in there. Now, when you apply power, it shoots that forward, and this plunger, this rubber diaphragm or rubber gasket right here, plugs that hole and blocks the coolant flow. What it does, let's see, I usually get this backwards, but when 12 volt power is always applied, and that means you always have coolant flow that is blocked off. And I think when you turn on your heat, the plunger releases, and it allows the coolant to flow through here and go into your heater core. And it might be the other way around, guys. I sometimes get that backwards, but you get the idea. So let me demonstrate. We're going to take our new mono valve, and we are going to insert it into our solenoid, or I'm sorry, our electromagnetic, wires here, like that. Okay, now I'm just going to apply 12 volt power. I'm going to turn it around so you guys can see it. We should see this mono valve pop forward. See that? Now, since it's not in the car, it's trying to jump out of there. See if I can hold it still for you. There we go. See that? That's how this valve works. All right, so we have a good functioning solenoid monovalve. I'm sorry, not solenoid, but these coils, I've never really seen them fail. What fails is the actual rubber boot in here, so that's why we're replacing it. Now, this is what's also important. When you change this, the order of these washers has to be exactly like this. You see we have this big thick washer right here, and then underneath it, we have this funny looking wavy washer that allows the right amount of tension to be applied. And then on top, we just have a regular thin washer. So we're going to put them back in that order. There we go. We're going to put our valve back in here. There we go. And we're going to install this assembly back in the car. Now, what's also important, you see this little notch? There we go. There's a notch right there. And that's where your electrical connections come through right there. See this like Bakelite material? That notch goes right there. So you don't want it over here because it'll create a gap. You want that notch right there. And then we reinstall it in the car like that and screw it back down. So let's go put this back in the car. And I'm just going to lower this guy back down into here. We're going to move our wire out of the way. There we go. It's that easy. Now I want to put back in our 4 screws, and we just want to tighten them down until they bottom out. You don't need to crank them down. And then we're going to plug back in our 12 volt power, and that'll be mono valve replacement, and that'll ensure that your AC stays cold and your heater stays hot. And the way to tell if you need to replace your mono valve, you'll have very erratic heating and cooling issues. For example, you'll have the AC on, and then all of a sudden it'll go full blast heat. Or it'll just be heat all the time and your AC won't turn on. Or you'll have no heat at all. So when you have issues like that, you need to check your mono valve. And now this is a genuine Bosch replacement. This will last for years to come and you won't have an issue. But if you are having issues, always check your mono valve. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next thing we want to do. All right, guys, the next thing we want to do, excuse the background noise, I have the shop heater on. Next thing we want to do is take a look at our fuel level sending unit. Now, if I look here in the car, let me get the key. Okay, there's our fuel gauge. Okay, our fuel gauge is reading correctly. You see that? It goes to about half tank. And then it goes back down correctly. So despite the fuel gauge working, a common maintenance item on any diesel Mercedes is to clean your fuel level sending unit. Otherwise, your fuel gauge, it may appear to be reading correctly, but there's a bobber inside your fuel level sender, which is in the tank. And that bobber floats up and down as your fuel level changes. Now that bobber can get stuck because there's a bunch of gunk in there, because diesel fuel is dirty, and over the decades those will get clogged up with gunk, and that bobber will stick, and you'll think you have half a tank when really you're like almost empty. So we need to remove that sending unit, disassemble it, clean it, and reinstall it in the car. Now, I don't know, this gauge looks like it's working really well, so it might be clean, but we need to go ahead and inspect it. All right, guys, hopefully my shop heater is not making too much noise and you can hear me, but in order to get access to the fuel level sending unit, we have to raise up our third row seat and actually remove the seat bottom. So we're going to pull up our third row seat here. There we go. The fuel level sending unit is right here. But to get access to that, we need to pull back this like carpet material right here. And to do that, we have to undo the hinges here and pull out. This is the seat bottom, see, of the third row seat. There's your seat bottom. So we need to remove that to get access under there. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, I really won't be able to record removing it because it's around the back side here, but what you have are, there you go, there's a hinge right there and a hinge right there. So see, they're Phillips. I just need to take those Phillips out so then I can lift this out of the way to fold back the carpet and access that fuel level sender. And this is what these screws look like. We just removed 4 of them. All right, now I can take the seat bottom, there we go, out of here, and we'll just set this aside. All right, there's our seat bottom. We just set it aside there. Now, there's also, I don't know how easy it is to see this, there's a spring-loaded, see this spring here, it goes across here. This is like a spring-loaded wire that clips into the seat that gives it resistance when you're lifting it up and folding it down. So that's going to come out also. But now that we have, there we go, now that we have access to this like carpeted area, and there's some staining under there, so we'll clean that up at the detail shop. We need to undo our attachment bracket here, and then there's a screw right here that holds the carpet in place. And there we go, there's a screw there. So we're going to undo these brackets and then take those screws out, and we can fold this piece back. And again, those are just Phillips. Take that one out. Take that one out. That piece removes. There we go. Now we can get access. There we go, to that screw there. Let me do it on the other side. Lift up, there we go. Okay, perfect. All right, guys. Now I need to get this, let me get this cable out of the way here so we can then lift it up a little further. All right, guys, I've got the spring-loaded, that's like the seat spring. I've fished it through the cover here. And I've just got a piece of wood just stuck there to hold that cover up in the air. And there is our fuel level sending unit cover right here. All right, I got a flashlight back here so maybe you guys can see a little better. So we just want to pop off our protective cap here. And this is our power plug. And guys, you don't need to unplug the battery when doing this. We're just going to undo our power plug. There we go. Move that out of the way. Now, there is our fuel level sending unit. Let me show you guys that. Okay, there you go. See, we got like a hex head on it. Now you have to have a special tool to remove it, or I guess you could use some pliers or something, but this is what is this, a 1 and 13/16 socket. Here we go, with a 17mm welded on top of it, and this fits around there. There we go. All right, that's now loose. Now you're going to get some diesel on you when you're removing this. So I've got some rags right here. So we're going to pull this out and then take it over to the bench and inspect it. And there we go. You can see there is the top of the fuel tank. You can see there is fuel down in there. That's your diesel tank. All right, let's go inspect this sending unit. All right, guys, here is the fuel level sending unit over here on the bench. And I hear the bobber moving, but we need to take this apart and inspect it. Now, down here on the bottom, you see that's a slotted screwdriver. There's a slotted nut down here. There we go. We want to go ahead and unscrew that. All right, we'll set that aside. Then our base plate comes off, and then we can push the sending unit through. Got to be very careful. There we go. Okay, guys, this one looks absolutely fantastic. I bet you someone's already been in here to clean this. Yeah, check that out. That is beautiful. Look at that. Yeah, there's not a speck of sludge or anything on here. So I think this tank has been cleaned because this thing is amazing condition. But guys, this is something you want to check. And you can see there's 3 wires. I don't know if you guys can see those. So see those very fine wires? One sends an ohms resistance reading to your fuel gauge, and the other 2 are the guide wires that guide that bobber. All right, let's go ahead and look in here. Oh yeah, this thing is spotless. Pretty sure someone has had to have been in here because these things are always filthy and with black diesel gunk all in them. And this one is spotless. So all we need to do is put this one back in the car. There's nothing to clean on it. But this is an important check you want to do, guys, because if it hasn't been taken care of on your car, it will be filthy in there, and it'll cause that bobber to get stuck. All right. Yeah, that thing is, that's probably the nicest, cleanest one I've ever removed from a wagon. It's obvious someone already cleaned this one. All right, we'll put that back together. There we go. Put our base plate back on here. Our end cap. Wipe that off. All right, put that cap back on here. There we go. Now screw back on our retaining nut. And we'll just do the reverse order that you guys saw and put everything back in the car. Tighten that back down. All right, that's it. And again, you can hear the bobber. Hear it moving. All right, let me put it back in the car. We'll move to the next item. All right, guys, the next thing we're going to do is inspect our in-tank strainer. That's part of the fuel system inspection. So there's our sending unit. Just have it sitting there. Now you see I have my fluid extractor connected to the tank. And this holds a few gallons, and we have half a tank, so I'm going to have to fill this up a few times. but we're going to suck the diesel out of here so then we can get access, or not get access, but remove the strainer from the bottom of the tank and inspect it. Now, that's very important on these old diesels. Let me show you what the strainer looks like. Because, like I said, diesel's dirty, and just over decades of use, your tank strainer will get clogged up. So, for example, here's a brand new wagon tank strainer. And you see, it's not very, there you go. It's not too fine. It's basically like a screen door. It keeps any huge debris or anything from the tank getting into the fuel system. Here's a used one that was pulled out of a car. You can see this one's actually clean, but you know, they turn black, you know, with age. So we're going to remove the one in the car and see what it looks like. Now, the wagon is different than a sedan. See that little hole right here? The wagons have those little holes, those little notches. I'll show you what the sedan looks like. Oh, sorry, before I show you the sedan, the wagon is also removed with a giant Allen, right? Let me go get the sedan one and show you what this one looks like. I think I have a sedan one right over here. Yeah, here we go. So on the sedan, all right, there you go. You see those notches I showed you on the wagon, those oval notches? They don't exist on the sedan. In the sedan, you have a screw-in fuel hose that screws into the bottom. You don't have that on a wagon. The wagon's fuel system is different than the coupes and sedans. And to remove the one on a wagon, we need that giant socket there. So let's go ahead, drain out the diesel, then go under the tank, put the socket on there and remove it and inspect it. All right, let me go ahead and turn my extractor on. There you go. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the diesel is coming out of there and it's filling up the extractor. There you go. There's an air hose connected to that. You see it starting to fill up right here. So we're going to fill this up a few times, empty it, get all the diesel out of here, and then we're going to go under the car and remove the strainer. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, I think we about got it all out of there. Now, what this lets me also do is inspect down here in the tank, because it's now empty. Oh yeah, that's very clean. See the metal bottom down there? I know you guys can't see it in the camera, but I can see it. Okay, there we go. There is our strainer. Right there. Look how clean that is, guys. See, that is not clogged up at all. You can see, I know it's hard to see on this camera here, but you can see that there is no gunk on the screen. Well, I can see it clearly. So that strainer is outstanding condition. We absolutely do not need to remove that. And guys, what I think, someone has already done this because that strainer should have been dirty and the fuel level sending unit should have been dirty. And so it's pretty obvious this has already been done on this vehicle. So I'm going to go ahead, reassemble everything, and, you know, it'll be time to check that strainer in, you know, another 2 decades because it's already been cleaned once. All right, let's go ahead, get everything back together. All right, I got our sending unit back in there. Now, before I button everything up, I just want to wipe down in here because this will, yeah, this is never going to be opened up again for the next, you know, 20 years or so. So let me get it real clean in here and get some of this debris out of here. Let me get the vacuum. Yeah, that's about as nice as it gets on a wagon, guys. You can see there's zero rust, zero corrosion. There is nothing bad under here at all. All the original little insulation pads are intact. the foam insulation pad right underneath there. This is a beautiful condition. Now over here, you can see here's your vacuum line. This is your main vacuum line that plugs in to the vacuum tank. See it right there? They look like, you know, looks like an egg crate. That's your main vacuum reservoir. And that's what that line is there. So I like to make sure those are securely attached, which that one is. And that rubber is beautiful condition. No reason to mess with that. So let me get the back seat reassembled and we will move to the next item. All right, got everything reassembled, and there we go. Make sure everything works correctly. Perfect. All right. And yeah, Scott definitely needs to vacuum back here, but as far as the service on the tank, it's obvious somebody already took care of that. But now we know, we've checked, and that's not going to be a concern. All right, we want to make sure that the fuel level sending unit is working correctly. Now, I only put a couple of gallons back into it, so it should read almost at empty on the reserve, and our reserve light should come on. Now, it comes on when you initially crank the turn the key, just to show you that it works, but now it should actually stay on. Yeah, there we go. So our reserve light is on, and we're showing that the tank is empty because I only have a couple of gallons in there. But good, mission accomplished on that. So I'm going to let the vehicle run and get up to temperature, and we want to, you know, let the mono valve work in conjunction with our climate control system, and I want to make sure that we switch between heat and AC correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and back up the car so I can open the doors here fully. Okay. Now, while we're waiting on that, the engine to come up to temperature, this is what we want to work on next. There you go. See this visor mirror? See how it's cracked right there? Guys, that is a very common problem on these vehicles. And, oh, check it out. That bobber went up just enough when I moved the car to turn out our reserve light. So cool, we know that's working correctly. But yeah, that's a common issue. See how that has come detached? I have to rebuild these on like every car. So what I want to do is remove this visor, and we want to rebuild our mirror here, our mirror surround right here. All right, to remove our visors, there's 2 screws, and there. We're going to flip that up and get access to the one back here. There we go. Now let's get this over to the workbench. All right, guys, I've got the visor on the workbench, and anyway, we've got our new mirror here. See, this one does not have any cracks around the bezel, so that's and that's genuine Mercedes. So that's what we're going to replace that one with. But before we do that, let's go ahead and finish testing that heat and AC switchover with the mono valve so I can turn that engine off. Okay, we've been idling for a while, and we are up to engine temp. See, slightly above 80 there. And let me go ahead, and we've got our wheel rolled to heat. Let's push our heat. Ah, very nice. Excellent working heat. And it correctly closed the center vents. There's nothing coming out of there. On the Mercedes, heat only comes out the sides. Now let me put on the defrost. Okay, good. And we have defrost. Now, if I roll back to AC, there we go. See if it goes cold on us. Up, there it goes. And our center vents just opened up. And I can feel the AC is now kicking in. Our defrost closed. Okay, now it's cold. All right, perfect. Now I'm gonna go back to heat one more time. Let's see, we're gonna stop it. And I'll roll, let's just try the automatic climate control. See, if you roll it all the way up and then click it, it'll click. That's like heat no matter what the setting is over here. But if we just roll it up and don't click it, it's going to do the automatic climate control. So we hit automatic, hit the center button, and it should, you know, read the temperature, adjust, and click on here in a second. Okay, there we go. Blower motor's starting to spin up here. I can tell heat's coming out. Okay, good. Okay, there we go. Here it just came up to full speed, and we have heat, and we should also have it down here. Yep, there we go. We got heat down there on the floor too. Okay, mission accomplished. Heating and AC both working. All right, you see I got two visors here on the workbench, and this one, I went ahead and pulled the guts out of this one because the visor in the car, and this is common too, see how the vinyl covering kind of tore and stretched a little right there? And that's where that, also where that crack is in the frame. So this is the one that came out of the car, and we're actually going to use this one to go back in the car. You can see this one doesn't have any of those issues. And in order to put our mirror in there, you can see how the frame is not cracked on this mirror. In order to put it in there, we need to strip back our wires right here and strip back our wires right here. And then we'll attach it, put this in there, and we'll apply a little bit of epoxy to hold it in there, and that'll be good as new. And the way these wires actually get their power is, see the two metal tabs right there? Well, when you clip it in to the clip on the roof of the car, or the headliner of the car, that clip actually applies 12 volt power through there. So when it's unclipped, the visor will not light up, but when it's clipped, it'll turn your lights on. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and strip these back. I'll strip these back and then connect them up, and we'll test it out. All right, guys, we have this temporarily connected here, and before we permanently seal it in there using epoxy, we want to test it out. So I'm gonna connect our 12 volt power, just like it would in the car. Connect one there, and one there. Ah, there we go. Lights correctly come on, and then it clicks a switch when you close it, and it goes off. All right, this one's ready to be glued back in and put back in the car. Okay, guys, to glue these back in, you want to use JB Weld quick setting, that's clear 5-minute epoxy. Now, you don't want to use super glue, because a lot of stuff on the car, when you're repairing it, you can use super glue, but when super glue is put on this plastic material or this vinyl, it'll react with it and cause like a white cloudiness. And so the correct thing to use, and very similar to what Mercedes used, is an epoxy. So we'll just squirt out our equal parts here. There we go. And we'll mix that up. And this is a 2-part epoxy. That's why you got to mix it up real good. Okay, there we go. Now let's go ahead and apply it. So what we want to do, you want to lift up the edges, and right along the edge is where you want to apply it so it squishes down in there. Right there. We'll set that edge down in there, and you can wipe away any excess. All right, let's get this edge over here. I know you guys can't see over here. I'm just wiping it along the edge. And it doesn't take much, you guys. All right, we're going to squirt that one down. Now we want to go along the back. All right, there we go. That is enough. Now, we're going to get these front edges here. There we go. Like that. And right under there like that. Okay, now we want to apply pressure. First I want to wipe away any of the excess epoxy. Let me get one of my dirty rags here. There we go. All right, now what we want to do, we have it in place there. Put some clean rags down. Turn that guy out of the way. Okay, that's in place there. You want to turn it over. There we go. There we go. That epoxy off right there. All right, and we want to put, I have two, these are like 10-pound weights. I'm going to weight it down real good and hold it. That will press that mirror in there, and then let the epoxy dry. Okay, good. That's all the way in. Now we need to let that dry. You know, we'll leave it for 45 minutes to an hour or so, and then flip it over, and it'll be good to go back in the car. Okay, while that's drying, I just have the passenger side right here. And the problem with the passenger side, the bezel is not cracked, but the spring-loaded mechanism that like holds it up there is broken. So you can see I took out the guts inside of the mirror here. And what breaks, you have these little spring-loaded mechanisms like here and this one. There we go. That one's broken. So when you go to lift up the mirror, it won't stay up. Okay, there we go. If I like cram it up in there, but yeah, that's broken. And it's supposed to be a spring-loaded. Let me show you. Here you go. This is the one I'm going to replace it with. And watch this. See how that's how they're supposed to operate. So I'm going to go ahead, rebuild this one too, and then we'll get these back in the car. All right, guys, so while we're finishing up on this, I wanted to show you one more item I did off camera. What we have here is the auxiliary water pump. Now you might say, what in the world is an auxiliary water pump? Well, on these cars, when you're idling in traffic or like at a red light, the water pump has to pump water up into the heater core and then back down, through the engine, back through the radiator. It's a loop. And what the Germans did, or what Mercedes did, in order to, when your engine is not spinning at a higher RPM and the water pump is spinning real slow, they decided to add an auxiliary water pump that would increase the coolant flow through the heater core so you would have better heat while you're idling. And the way they accomplished that is a little auxiliary water pump that this kicks on when you're idling and you're not, driving at, 3,000 RPM. And so I went ahead, I tested this one out. It's a common thing you want to test in these cars. And this one was not working. So I had an old stock Bosch one. I'll show you where they install. I don't know if you guys can see this. Okay, you can kind of barely make it out. See, this hose connects to the side of it. That hose connects to the back of it. And there's the new Bosch old stock water pump right there. So this will effectively pump water up and into the heater core and around the engine when you're at idle. So I went ahead and replaced that to ensure that the cooling system is operating 100% as it should be, as it was from the factory. And I'm not sure if there's a rebuild service for these, but you can see that I've got piles of them laying around the shop where I have to replace these things. They just get old. Anyway, let's go back to finishing up the visors. Okay, I have this one temporarily connected. I have my power, and there we go. And see how, here's the spring loaded. So if I'm pushing up from underneath, if I watch this, see how it snaps up into place? That's why we wanted to fix this side. All right, that works. Let me epoxy that one. We'll put them back in the car and I'll show you the final product. All right, guys, I just got our visors installed, and we can see now they're not cracked around the edges. Very nice. Very nice. You can see that's what we fixed. See, no more splits up there. And we have a view from the driver's side. Those have been repaired and 100% functional now. I want to address, let's see if I can get it in here, is there we go. See how this seat back net is all saggy over here? Somebody, maybe a kid, was pulling on that or something. See, the driver's side is good. That's how it should be. It's not sagging down. However, over here on the passenger side, we need to fix that and bring it back up, you know, where it's supposed to be. So let me show you how to do that. All right, guys, I don't know if you can see this, but right down here at the bottom, there is one screw, and we need to remove that screw, and then this whole seat back can slide down, and we can remove it from the car to repair that. I know you can't really see that well, guys, but I just have a screwdriver down here. I'm going to take that one screw out. There we go. We got that screw out. Now the seat back net can actually pull down. There we go. And we can detach it from here and get it over to the workbench. There we go. All right, now that we have it over here on the workbench, see, we just want to retighten it. See, we just want to retighten it, this band that goes across there. And pretty simple process. You just got to be careful because this plastic surround, or this piece right here, that's the plastic retaining bracket. It's fragile, so you want to make sure you're careful when you're taking it off there. And what we have is one screw here. We'll take that out, and that little washer, we'll just set that aside. And we'll take it out over here. We'll set that aside. And now you have all these series of clips, and this just slides forward or slides up. There we go. It's been on here for a long time. There we go. Okay. Good. See if we can move this. There we go. Just slides forward. And these clips come out here. There we go. Gotta be careful, you don't want to force it. Okay. Now, these hooks are going to the right. So you want to now slide it to the left. And there we go. All right, we'll set our seat back out of the way. And this is what we're working with. All right, so right here we have these little clips, or one little clip. We can just turn this sideways, and then this pulls out of here. Now, that's just a little, like there's little alligator teeth in there that hold it onto this band. And the way we get that out of there, we can just stick a pick right down in there and slowly undo these little alligator teeth. There we go. Okay, that's almost. Okay, now that that's loose, we can slide it down. There we go, slide it down here. And that is about where I want it, right there. There we go. What we've done, we've just taken out all that slack. And I want it right about a little bit more. Yeah, that looks good there. Now we're just going to take some pliers and we're going to re-crimp those alligator teeth that we just uncrimped. There we go. Now those are crimped back in there. Now we just want to cut off our excess. Like that. And we want to put our clip back in here. Just like that. There we go. We have now tightened that back up. So let's reattach it. And before I reattach it, I like to take the opportunity to go ahead and clean our seat back. That's just some glass cleaner. Okay, and that's just alcohol based, so that'll dry. And now we want to take our net, get it repositioned on here. I love how everything on these cars is just rebuildable. You can just fix just about anything on them. All right, guys, there we go. We have a retightened seat back net. All right, let me go reinstall this in the car. All right, I just got our net reinstalled, and there we go. Doesn't that look much better? Now they're both tight on the driver and the passenger side, and that just that makes a difference. You know, you want stuff to look good on the inside of the car. That's it. All right, guys, there's one final thing I want to do on this vehicle, and it is change this original lock cylinder. So you can see it's a little tricky. It kind of gets stuck and it's hard to turn it. There we go. That's what happens to these lock cylinders once they start to get worn out. Very common thing. So I want to go ahead and change that lock cylinder. Now over here I have a replacement one I ordered from Mercedes. Now, the only downside to this is you'll have a key now for the ignition, and I'll get a couple of duplicates made. So there'll be a second key. There'll be one key for the door unlocks, and then one key because we're doing the new ignition lock or ignition cylinder. So there'll be two keys, doors and ignition. But this is something you have to do in all these cars. If you don't, you run the risk of that lock cylinder getting stuck, and you will not be able to turn it, and then you have to drill it out. Very common thing on these cars. So let's go ahead and change and put in our new lock cylinder. Now to change this lock cylinder, you see I have it over in the, let's see, secondary ignition position, accessory position. And you have to stick a very stout like metal pin down in here. And then you can release it and unscrew the black metal surround around it, and you can get it out. Now, unfortunately, I can't show this on camera because there's nowhere to mount the camera in here to show that. So let me do that. I'll remove it, and I'll be back in a second. Well, I said I wasn't going to be able to record it, but I guess I can do it one-handed. See, now I'm screwing this metal surround out of here. And you just have to unscrew it, and then it will release that cylinder. So let me do it a few more times here. And that's this metal rod going in here is holding that tab down, which allows me to do this. Okay, like one more turn and this guy's out of here. All right, there we go. So there is our lock cylinder. So let's go ahead. Well, there's the surround. That's the lock cylinder in there. And this one just has a little bit too much wear on it. So let's go ahead and change it. All right, there's the one we pulled out of the car. And here's our new genuine Mercedes. You can see there's the Mercedes logo right down there. And then there's our new Mercedes key. All right, let's go ahead and get this one back in there. All right, there's our new lock cylinder and new key. And now watch how easy this one is. See how easy that turns now? It doesn't bind. See, when they start binding, there's a big risk that the key is going to get stuck and not turn again. And then if that happens, you have to like disassemble the gauge cluster and get back behind there and drill out the lock. But you got to catch it before that happens, and we did that. There you go. See how nice and smooth that is? Now, don't use the aftermarket cylinders, guys, like I think Phoebe or Euro makes them. Guys, they don't work. You need to order from the Classic Center. That's a genuine Mercedes cylinder. So we're also going to take this key and have another key cut. So we have 2 keys for the car. And then the existing keys, here's the keys that came with the car. Those will be used for your door locks. Here we go. See, it just locked all the doors and unlocked all the doors. And we have 2 keys for the doors too. All right, mission accomplished. Now, one of the last things we need to do is reinsert the bolt that holds on your steering wheel. Now, guys, we're not going to tighten this down because we put the steering wheel back on, but we don't want to tighten it down until the alignment shop gets the wheels, aligned properly. I can't do this with one hand. Anyway, we'll put that back in here. But we don't want to tighten it down until the alignment shop confirms the alignment and our steering wheel is on there straight. Because, see, you can pull the steering wheel off and you can angle it, there's little teeth in there and it can go on different ways. So we'll just snug it up so we can drive to the alignment shop. But we don't want to tighten it all the way down because we'll probably be removing it again. And then once that's in there and the alignment shop confirms everything, we can stick our Mercedes emblem back over it. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video. I cannot find anything else I want to do on this car. So tomorrow we go to the alignment shop and then we do our test drive. And then it's over to Scott. You'll see the detailing video. And then this 1985 Diamond Blue wagon will be done. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.